Hello, thank you for joining us today for our Wave 1 Provider T-Level webinar. We are pleased to see so many of you being able to join us today, particularly after our first day back after the Easter break. We know those registered today have a broad range of knowledge and prior involvement with T-Levels, with some individuals having been heavily involved in the initial stages of development and others now joining the process relatively fresh. This webinar is therefore intended to offer a high-level overview of the Education and Childcare T-Level, and we will hope it provides to be a useful resource for you and your colleagues, no matter what level of involvement you have had up to now at this stage of implementation and right up to implementation. Additionally, while many of you in attendance will already be very familiar with NCFE and CASH and have worked with us for some time, we are also pleased to welcome individuals from centres who have not been working with us for the first time in delivering the T-Level. For the benefit of those people, we will also be using the webinar as an opportunity to provide an overview of our organisation, outline our involvement in T-Levels, and briefly introduce colleagues who will be supporting you during implementation. Most importantly, we are delivering this webinar in order to offer you the opportunity to feedback and give us any questions that you may feel you have at this stage, or to let us know any additional support that we can provide for you during the development and implementation stage. Please feel free to submit any questions or comments throughout this webinar, and we will be addressing these at the end of the presentation. I'd now like to introduce everybody. I'm Janice Spencer, and I'm the FE Manager for CASH and NCFE.
Hi, I'm Eleanor Morn, Qualifications Development Manager.
Hello, I'm Julie Hyde. I'm the Director of CASH within NCFE.
Thank you. And we're going to go over to you now, Julie, to give us an introduction to CASH. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Janice, and welcome everybody. CASH was established in 1945 by the Ministry of Health under the name of the National Nursery Examination Board, the NNEB. 74 years of sector-leading organisation producing high-quality qualifications, our longevity and reputation for excellence in standards and assessments is demonstrated by the number of learners in practice today holding our qualifications. Experts in technical education, we don't do this on our own. We have many relationships with stakeholders within our sectors, working with HEIs, employers, providers, sector specialists. They all influence decisions that are made regarding training and development, therefore ultimately benefiting the beneficiaries of our work, the learners, vulnerable adults, children and families. Our qualifications and services provide end-to-end solutions for technical education within both the regulated and unregulated markets, delivering qualifications and training for the workforces that we represent. Meeting the needs of our providers, learners, parents and carers is essential to our overall purpose, influencing the lives of people through lifelong learning and nurturing their achievement. We have to thank you all for the support that you have given to us. These are just some of the really lovely comments that we received on award of the T-Level contract. Thank you for all your support throughout the process and for your continuing support as we deliver your education and childcare technical qualification. We are absolutely delighted to have been awarded this contract. It is a significant milestone and one that puts CASH at the forefront of this technical education reform. But we've been at the forefront of reform in many, many ways. And one of them was as members of the expert reference group for the Level 2 criteria. We were also asked to support the development of the Department for Education's Early Years Career Map. In supporting the government, we offered to host the map on the CASH website. The career map went live on our website on the 26th of July last year and is also on the Department for Education's Early Years qualification page. The career map is aimed to support recruitment and retention, to show young people and existing practitioners the journey they can take within the early years sector. The T-level will sit in the same place as the existing Level 3 Early Years Educator qualifications. From the 31st of January this year, the Institute for Apprenticeships took over the responsibility of technical education from the Department for Education, therefore becoming the Institute for Apprenticeships and Technical Education. Just for your information, going forward, we'll be calling them the Institute rather than the Institute for Technical Education. This slide shows you which elements of the T-level the Institute is responsible for and which that the DFE is responsible for. Childcare and education isn't the only T-level that will be introduced in 2020. As part of Wave 1, there's also construction, the design, surveying and planning pathway, digital production, design and development pathway. But education and childcare is the only one that has the whole route being delivered in 2020, with education and childcare covering all of the pathways. The Wave 2, which is introduced from September 2021, sees the following T-levels introduced, with the rest of the construction route, the rest of the digital route, and part of the health and science route. The Post-16 Skills Plan lays out the plan for technical education and training with all young people starting their journey with GCSEs and/or technical awards. The T-level comes in here with college-based technical education with work placement. It's important to identify that although the T-level is based on the standard for apprenticeships, it's really important that you can see the relationship between the two. In the technical route, a young person may choose to take an apprenticeship or they may choose to take a T-level. The apprenticeship standard forms the basis of the content for the T-level. The apprenticeship obviously is offered in the work placement with 80% on-the-job training and 20% off-the-job training, whereas the T-level is a full-time delivery offer in the classroom with 80% classroom delivery and 20% on-the-job delivery. Cash has provided you with a document which shows you what the progression into and out of the T-level will be. And what we've done is identified this by specialist area. So if you're delivering childcare, education, or the HE and FE learning mentor qualifications, then you can see what roles will lead out of those and what they may do in order to progress into those routes for the T-level. This document's available on our website, and there are also hard copies which I'll ask you to ask Janice for whenever she comes on to talk to you in a little while. So Janice, just so that you can pick that up there, then I'll hand over to you and your team.
Thank you. Like I said earlier, I manage the FE team across the country. And what we have done is we've looked at your needs and trying to service you as best we can for the T-level. So each centre, in addition to your regular account exec, we have allocated a dedicated T-level contact from our team. They are all very experienced account execs with a wealth of knowledge in relation to T-levels. They will be your go-to person here at NCFE and will be able to put you in touch with any colleagues within the organisation who you might need to speak to if you have any specific enquiries. This specialist team have a greater insight into the T-level, and they will be there to support and guide you through the development of the qualification and once you have started to implement the T-level in 2020. The team will keep you informed of events and would be more than happy to visit you and your staff and give you any additional support that you may need. As this team is field-based, we also wanted to give you additional support. As I say, you've already been allocated your dedicated T-level expert, and the name of this colleague was communicated to your centre via a letter last month. This was sent to the primary T-level contact at your centre. If you aren't sure who your T-level contact is, then please feel free to get in touch via the email on the screen. This email address will link directly to one of our fantastic members of the team here at Head Office. They will also be able to support you with any general inquiries you have on T-levels. Additionally, if you have a colleague who you would like to receive any information on the T-level related to communications, then please inbox us and let us know what their name is, their job title and email address. This will ensure that they are added to our mailing lists. So, for example, you may want to pass on your quality details, you may want to pass on your registry details, or people who will be actually delivering and implementing the course. We will be, over the next 2 years, working with you to ensure that you are fully prepared to deliver the childcare and education T-level. And we will be working with you to ensure the highest quality is maintained in the assessment and delivery of the qualification to give all learners the best opportunity to achieve their T-level. We will be having 3 regional events, one in Leeds, one in Birmingham and one in London. These will be at the end of June. These dates will be passed on to you very shortly. We are currently organising a range of events for all the Wave 1 providers. These events will give you the opportunity to meet some of our fantastic team here at Head Office and in the field. It will give you the opportunity to network with other Wave 1 providers who may be able to support one another. It will give you, you'll be able to take a look at the qualification and gain an insight into what the T-level will mean to you as a centre. You will also have the opportunity to discuss the placements, and we'll be also finding out the best way to work with you and what your expectations are from us. We also want to keep you informed and up to date with what is happening and how you are preparing to deliver the T-level. Please go to www.cash.org.uk/T-levels. This page will be updated regularly. It will have current, new and exciting ways to support you in the coming year to help to make sure you are informed as possible. Now I'm going to pass you on to Eleanor.
Hi, I thought it would be helpful to give you an overview of the technical qualification, or TQ for short sometimes. As Julie explained earlier, the TQ is just one of the pieces of the T-level which the Institute and DFE look after. The T-level programme includes the industry placement, English, Maths and Digital and other requirements set by the T-level panel. This is a new style of qualification and we've been given set criteria to use on how to develop it. The qualification is split into 2 component parts. There's the core component and then the occupational specialism, which is the top blue box on the screen. These components are assessed separately and students are awarded a grade for each of them individually. So if we look at the core first, the core is the underpinning knowledge which any learner working in education and childcare needs to know. The core component is externally assessed and those assessments are set and marked by us. And there are 2 pieces of external assessment for the core. There is a written exam and an employer set project. Students are given a grade for this component which uses the grading scale A to E. Then for the core, which is the second component, this is where students specialise. Students have the opportunity to develop their threshold competence to go on to further study or work. And the occupational specialism is assessed using practical assignments, which again, these are set and marked where possible by us. Students are given a separate grade for this component, which uses the grading scale of pass, merit and distinction. So now if we go on to look at the core, so a panel of industry representatives worked with the Institute on developing outline content, which is what we cover as part of the qualification. This outline content is split into 12 elements. So I'm just going to go into some of the detail of what these elements are, and it'll hopefully give you a flavour of what the qualification will cover. So number 1 is wider context. This is an overview of childcare and education from ages 0 to 19. It includes childcare, schools and post-16 provision. This element will also provide an introduction to working in the education and childcare sector, for example, looking at the roles, responsibilities and career opportunities. Element 2 is child development, and in this students will look at the development from birth to 19, including children and young people's personal development, language, and how to support them through transitions and significant events in their lives. 3 is supporting education. This looks at the EYFS and national curriculum and how to support children and young people's education and factors that affect this. Then we'll go on to safeguarding, health and safety and well-being. And this introduces learners to a range of requirements and guidance, including the statutory guidance and legal requirements, as well as the importance of children and young people's emotional health and well-being. Next is behaviour, and this element looks at how children and young people develop and their implications this has on their behaviour. This includes verbal and non-verbal behaviour, and students will also learn about a range of strategies which can be used to support behavioural development. Number 6 is observation and assessment, and this provides an overview of the role of national test assessments and assessors, as well as why it's important to report on children and young people's progress. So the next 6 ones are equality and diversity, and this covers the basic principles of current equality and diversity practice, as well as the importance of promoting diversity, quality and inclusion. Next, it's special education needs and disability, and this element covers provision for children and young people with disabilities and special educational needs, including professionals and organisations involved with SEND, different models of disability, empowering children and young people and removing barriers. The 9th element is English as an additional language, and this looks at a range of aspects, including the importance of a home language, as well as strategies to support children and young people when English is taught as an additional language. 10th element is parents, families and carers, and this covers the importance of these groups and how to work with them as well as support them. Then we go on to working with others. This element looks at agencies, services and professionals that support children, families and carers, as well as working collaboratively and establishing effective relationships with them. And the final one is reflective practice, which includes models of reflection, the importance of CPD and feedback. So all of that's what makes up the core of the TQ, and then after that the occupational specialism is the route which the learner goes down in the second year. I'll quickly go over what the students will cover in each. So early years education and childcare cover the knowledge and skills of the following performance outcomes. We look at supporting and promoting children's play development in early education, developing relationships with children to facilitate their development, plan, provide and review care, play and educational opportunities to enable children to progress, safeguard and promote the health, safety and well-being of children, and the final one is work in partnership with colleagues, parents, carers and other professionals to support children's development. Assisting teaching is the second occupational specialism, and this has the knowledge and skills of the following performance outcomes. So support the class teacher to enhance children's education individually and in groups. Plan, provide and review educational opportunities in collaboration with teachers and other adults. Safeguard and promote the health and safety and well-being of children and young people, and recognise, adapt and respond to individual children's needs, including those with SEND, to support development and access to the curriculum. The third occupational specialism is supporting and mentoring students in further and higher education. And as part of this occupational specialism, students will cover the knowledge and skills for the following performance outcomes: advise, guide and supervise students to acquire the most benefit from their educational programme, work with education providers and workplace colleagues to plan and implement structured and meaningful education and work experience, support students' progress and well-being, and finally, to promote students' motivation, aspiration and engagement. So that's a summary of what the qualification will contain. As part of the development, we have 3 milestones which we need to meet with the Institute. So the first milestone is on the 20th of May for a draft of the TQ specification and some sample assessments. Then we have milestone 2, which is the 23rd of September, and the final milestone is the 16th of December, and that is for the qualification to be signed off, and then we'll have a full TQ specification to share. So that's it for the overview of the qualification. I'll now pass back to Janice.
Right, thank you for listening. We are going to have a look now at some of the questions. So you won't be able to hear us for a minute or two, but we won't be going anywhere. We want to answer the questions, and we will get back to you very shortly. Thank you. Thank you everybody for sending us a range of questions. We will be sending you after this webinar a list of a copy of all the slides, and we will try to answer some of your questions now. So one of the questions asked was, will the draft specs be available? Could somebody answer that, please?
Hi, this is Julie. So the answer will be yes. What we want to do, we want to take everybody on this journey of development of the TQ with us, but on the strict understanding, and you would expect us to say this, that all the information is draft until it is finally signed off, and the final sign-off isn't until December 2019. So we won't be expecting to have a full signed-off specification until January 2020, but we will be sharing documentation through our development stages, but you mustn't plan based on those, because there will be change, as you would expect, until they are actually finally signed off in December.
Thank you, Julie. Another one we've got was will there be a range of employment set tasks? Eleanor, would you like to answer that one?
Yeah, so the employer set project is part of the core component. There won't just be one employer set project. We'll be offering a number of questions for learners to review and choose, and these be broad enough that they'll cover the core component and whichever kind of specialist focus the learner has for this. So yeah, we'll have draft runs of those available beforehand as well, potentially.
Okay, thank you. Another one, will the learners gain a licence to practice? Who would like to answer that one? Julie?
So this was something that came out a lot and was asked a lot as part of the consultation process, and the answer to that is yes. And if you go on to the outline criteria that's on the Institute's website, that you'll see that there was actually some wording added into the introduction that stated that it is expected that young people who complete the education and childcare pathway will be counted in the ratios as stated in the EYFS.
Thank you. And should we do one more? Would you expect the delivery of the core to last the majority of year one of the programme, with the occupational specialism content starting in year two? Eleanor, would you like to answer that one?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Yes, that is how we expect it to be, just based on the guided learning hours for the qualification. We think the core will be the majority of year one, and the specialism will be the majority of year two, but obviously there's flexibility for their centres.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us today. You will be getting a copy of these slides. They will be emailed to the main contact, because that's who we've currently got. Please remember, you can let us know any additional contacts that you're now wanting us to contact regarding the T-level, like people with delivery, quality, exams, registration. We would love to be we are looking forward to working with you in the future. So thank you everybody for joining us today.